Hello, fellow Star Wars fans. This is Mike Jenkins, and I am here doing a Star Wars rant on slow lightsaber duels. Lightsaber duels have been a part of every Star Wars film. No surprise there. But the big piece of controversy, I guess you can call it, is slow lightsaber duels, quote unquote, in the original trilogy versus the dynamic, fast-paced lightsaber duels that we got in the prequel trilogy. Why were the lightsaber duels so slow in the original trilogy? And were they slow? That is the question. Were they slow lightsaber duels? Were they appropriately paced lightsaber duels? Were they better lightsaber duels as compared to the prequel trilogy? Or were both sets of duels just what they were supposed to be? The question is answered easily when you're talking about the production of the films. So if you're talking about special effects, then the easy answer is, well, the special effects improved by the time we did the prequel films, which came later than the original trilogy. But we're talking about the story. Why were the lightsaber duels in the prequel trilogy faster and more dynamic than they were in the original trilogy? So what's the story explanation behind that? And that's what I'm here to discuss. There's probably other Star Wars videos out there discussing this, but this is my take on that. So in story, thousands of Jedi provided for diversity in lightsaber forms. Different forms have different speeds and also have varying levels of force use. Upon Anakin's tragic transformation into the Sith cyborg, he was forced to learn a new saber form using his new prosthetic limbs. As with many who find themselves disabled in some form, Vader had to adapt to survive and thrive by using other senses and resources. He incorporated the Force more into his dueling techniques, compensating for a lack of speed in some cases by using the very environment against his opponents. We see this in Empire Strikes Back. Not that he really needed to against Luke, but he used his Force abilities to throw things at Luke, to throw Luke off. As shown in Rogue One, Vader was deadly, arguably just as deadly, if not more, as he had been before his defeat on Mustafar. So why did he seem to not be a match for his former self in the original trilogy? The real answer is special effects. The end-story answer has been debated over for years, but here is my aggregated take on the matter. The simple one-word answer is psychology. In A New Hope, Vader confronts Obi-Wan on the Death Star without hesitation. But that doesn't mean he was fearless. Obi-Wan was the man that turned Vader into a human pillow and left him to fry on Mustafar. A man just doesn't get over that. The Emperor most likely made sure to continually remind Vader just to keep those dark side juices flowing. Vader and the Emperor could not find Obi-Wan since that fateful day on Mustafar. About 19 years had passed. So the Jedi had to be powerful and was chock full of unexpected tricks. Vader took a cautious position with a healthy dose of fear to keep himself frosty. Unlike previous encounters where he mindlessly jumped into danger and lost limbs, all of them, he measured his opponent this time. He attempted to gather info about any new techniques and tricks that this old Jedi had gathered. After all, Vader had learned some new tricks himself. Obi-Wan had defeated Darth Maul, General Grievous and Darth Vader himself. He was not to be toyed with even in his old age. For example, Count Dooku was old when he lopped off one of Anakin's arms and killed many Jedi during the Clone Wars. So being old is not a factor to judge a Jedi. Obi-Wan himself was in a position to stall Vader and keep the Sith Lord from discovering his escaping children. Once he encountered Vader, he knew that he was in a position of sacrifice. The Jedi may have even foreseen the moment in a Force vision. He had trained for this and decided to distract Vader and slow him down. So the duel was more of a psych-out dance between the two, more than it was a full-on fight to the finish. Ultimately, Obi-Wan was victorious, and Vader was none the wiser. In Empire Strikes Back, the story revolves around Luke's training. Obi-Wan had started Luke's training, and it's been explained in various lore that Luke used holocrons found in Obi-Wan's abode on Tatooine to pick up some other tricks. Yoda advances his training significantly, but using a strategy that successfully draws him in, Vader unfolds an age-old Sith plot to take Luke as his Sith apprentice. The Emperor agrees to turning Luke to the dark side to either use him as a dark side agent, replace his broken apprentice, or kill him if he proves worthless. It's just the nature of the Sith. The duel is lengthy, but for Vader, it's more of a training session to test how worthy his potential apprentice and son is. The Sith Lord has no intention of fully engaging Luke, though Luke gives it his all. Luke hasn't even been fully trained in a saber technique and had yet to build his own lightsaber, so he has a way to go. In Return of the Jedi, Vader is more uncommitted and conflicted. He has no interest in destroying Luke, who he ultimately sees more as a son than a potential apprentice. Though Luke has grown more adept as a Jedi in his mastery of the Force, he is still no match for Vader or the Emperor. Luke may have known this, which is why he hoped to use Vader's internal conflict against him. It was his only hope. Vader and Palpatine knew this too. Both continued to plot to take Luke as their own apprentice respectively, or at least take him in as a dark side agent. For Vader, it was the best he could plan for, since he had failed at capturing Luke and turning him against Darth Sidious this whole time. The duel was more of a slow and intentionally tedious goading to push Luke to the dark side. In the end, Vader sacrificed himself as opposed to killing his son. He never unleashed his full potential. Luke could have accepted Sidious's offer, but he had not been pushed far enough to the dark side and had no reason to be. Upon being rejected, Palpatine accepted that he would destroy Luke and repair Vader. It was really no loss to him. But Vader put an end to the Sith by sparing his son and throwing the Emperor down the shaft. In the end, the original trilogy's duels, though slow, were more character-driven and layered with psychological motives. In A New Hope, it was more about tactical efforts on Obi-Wan's part and just caution on Vader's part. They hadn't encountered each other for quite some time. Vader didn't know what to expect from Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan was really not intending to go full on. Neither of them were. And they were just feeling each other out. They're just trying to see where the other one was going. And really, for Obi-Wan, he was just trying to stall Vader. That was his only plan there. In Empire Strikes Back, Luke wasn't ready for a full-on duel. And Vader really wasn't intending to unleash his full potential on Luke. It was more of a training session, more to just feel Luke out and just put him in a position to bag him up and take him back for dark side training purposes. Return of the Jedi, pretty much similar to Empire Strikes Back, where Vader is not looking to destroy Luke or take him out. He's more about luring him further into the dark side, figuring out a way to move against the Emperor tactfully. And again, Luke is just not in a position where he was ready to take on Vader full on. So none of those duels were really full-on duels. They were more about training sessions and tactical maneuvering. So compared to the prequels, where the duels were more about spectacle and simply advancing the narrative, the original trilogy's duels were, again, more character-driven and full of psychological motives. The tragedy in all this is that we still haven't seen Darth Vader at his full-on potential, and I really hope they do an anthology film or an anthology series featuring Darth Vader. Anyway, let me know what you think about the prequel and the sequel trilogy duels. Am I right in where the original trilogy duels are? Do the original trilogy duels work the way they are? Are the prequel trilogy duels better or worse? Just let me know your thoughts down below, and we'll see you in the next Star Wars Rant.